Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we're back with something super cool. We have ourselves a brand new Creature Preacher release. We've got ourselves the 7th Voyage of Sinbad Cyclops. And as you can see, it looks pretty darn awesome. I've been very much so looking forward to this one, especially because he has already released the dragon from the 7th Voyage of Sinbad. So I was definitely hyped to see the Cyclops coming as well. And something that was pointed out to me actually by Creature Preacher that I somehow have never really noticed is that there are actually two different Cyclops in the film. The Cyclops that you see earlier in the film has only one horn on the top. The Cyclops that you see at the end of the film that actually fights the dragon has the two horns. So this is his interpretation of the Cyclops from the end of the film that does in fact fight the dragon, which means that this one will go perfectly with his dragon. And he also pointed out to me that he has painted this one up to kind of give it more of a lifelike and realistic look rather than that perfect screen accurate paint job. Like the tones of color are a little bit more of his interpretation of what would look real on this Cyclops. So he said that he is available to paint up the more film accurate version as well, or you could of course go for this version, which is the again more realistic take. But it does look super cool here at first glance, so let's jump to a closer look and check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Cyclops, you can straight away see that kind of classic, sort of bumpy and kind of rough and rugged skin texture that you see on the Cyclops from the film. I think he's captured that pretty nicely, as well as, you know, some more minute, sort of finer detailing. But another thing that's really nice about it is the fact that he's captured a lot of variation of color in this. You could see different variations of browns and tans that have been applied to his Cyclops, which does look really nice. The ears as well are sculpted quite nicely, and there is some fine detail contained within. You do see a seam, or at least if you have it, I'm pointing it out to you right there, because the seam actually allows a little bit of articulation with the Cyclops, which is pretty cool. It allows you the option to turn the head. So any type of, even if it's not meant to be, articulation with a Creature Preacher release is a-okay by me. As you can see, the eye is painted with a white, given a reddish tone, and then as you move down to the mouth, you can see the mouth also sports some reddish tones, but it also has that classic, pretty much trademark kind of metallic coloration there. Something that Creature Preacher often does is applies like a metallic tone somewhere on his figures, and you can see it most times appears in the mouth. You can see that is the same case for the Cyclops, and of course we can see the teeth sculpted out and painted in there. If you move to the top of the head, of course we've got the horns up here for our Cyclops. They are painted with a very nice light, kind of a grayish tone bordering on an off-white. And again, he paints his figures most times with, or at least for the majority of the figures, usually with an airbrush, I believe. And you can see how smooth the application of that paint is. As you move down into the body, again, the skin texture gets very rough and rugged. You've got kind of like some bumpy, almost like osteoderm bumps on the Cyclops as you move through, and as you continue to move down, you can see all sorts of variation of color with the light brownish tones as well as darker brownish tones that really help to again highlight different areas of the skin of the Cyclops. And again, you've got that trademark sort of larger sort of skin texture there in the pecs of the Cyclops. As you move out here into the arm, you can see again some more variation of color with lighter and darker shades of browns as well as reddish brown tones. You can also see more of those bumpy areas of the skin moving down. We can pick out the muscle definition as well as again some more variation of color. If my camera would stay focused, more variation of color moving down into the hands. The hands do sport 3 fingers, and again the nails painted with a grayish tone. The nails also look pretty good as far as the actual sculpt goes. And then, of course, if you move over to the opposing arm, you can see the same thing for this arm as well. For the most part, the Cyclops is kind of just standing there looking like it's ready to fight, which again looks probably really cool in comparison to the dragon, which we will bring in here and do a comparison with here in just a bit. But as you move down, you again start to see the more furry areas, I guess you could say, of the Cyclops. And you can also see it transition to some variations of darker browns. You've got, you know, overall darker browns through the course of the entire area of the legs, but there are different shades of darker browns that have been included down here. You can also see as we look at the back that darker brown runs up the center of the spine, and you've got those ridges there of the spinal column sticking out as you move up through the back of our Cyclops. As you move down, you can also see again just how muscular looking the Cyclops is overall. Again, more of those bumpy areas of skin texture here on the back of our figure, and also again more variation of color. As you can see, when it comes to this exact paint variant, he has applied a lot of different tones of color to the figure. But again, as we move down through the course of the legs, you can see all the muscle definition. It definitely looks extremely muscular, as well as again the very nice fine detail and the mixtures of browns moving down as we lead down into the hoof-like feet of our Cyclops, which are also painted with that dark brown. So definitely a really cool figure, and I'm really happy to have this one here now to complete my display with my dragon. So let's go ahead, get the size measured on this one, and then we're going to check it out next to that dragon. As far as a size goes, the majority of the size is probably going to be, when it comes to the height, you're looking at about 8¼ inches or just shy of 21 centimeters. There's not really going to be a length or anything. I guess you could technically do like a width. The furthest apart would probably be the hands. You're looking at about the 5½ inch range, or around 14 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Creature Preacher Cyclops, and you can see he is pretty darn big. You know, it's not the largest Creature Preacher model I have. There are definitely way bigger ones that he has released, including one that I actually just acquired, which is gigantic. But, again, that's just a little kind of a hint as far as something that will be coming up for review here on the channel soon. But you can see, even at a smaller size for Creature Preacher, it's still pretty nicely sized. And then just another totally random comparison, as we've got a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus next to the Cyclops. There is the dragon from Creature Preacher next to our Cyclops, and as you can see, they do create one super cool diorama. If you are a Ray Harryhausen fan or a 7th Voyage of Sinbad fan, then these two here are definitely, again, perfect companion pieces if you ask me, and they look unbelievably cool next to each other. And the final comparison, and pretty much the only other one I think that could really, you know, be useful here, we have the Star Ace version of the Cyclops. The Star Ace version obviously is a lot larger, but it also shows off the earlier version that we see in the film, rather than the one that we have here from Creature Preacher, which again is the one that we see later in the film. But it is really fun to see the two of them together. So yet again, another really fun Creature Preacher release. He's always creating the most interesting stuff, and in my opinion, some of the most exciting stuff, because it's always stuff that you don't see often get models made. And definitely, again, same case with the Cyclops, even more specifically this version of the Cyclops. But it's just something that you don't often see get love, and it's kind of baffling as to why, because again, there is a large fan base for Ray Harryhausen stuff. So it is nice to see Creature Preacher, you know, capitalizing on that and creating some of his most loved creatures from his youth, and again, some of mine as well, as he always does. It seems as though we very much so share the same likes. But the Cyclops here looks absolutely awesome, if you ask me. He sculpted it out to look like Creature Preacher's work. Like, he has his very own style, and I'm such a big fan of his style. It almost has like a grittiness to it. Like, when you look at a Creature Preacher model, you can instantly see that that is created by him. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it has such a fun, unique look and style and feel to it, and as does everything that Creature Preacher makes. And again, this absolutely has that. You could just also feel that this was made with love, like everything that he creates always is. But he's done a very good job of sculpting the Cyclops out, giving it all sorts of really nice fine detail, and painting it, again, painting it a little bit different compared to what you actually see in the film, giving it more of what he termed as a more realistic take, which I also really do quite like. I think he's painted it up and highlighted all the different areas of the body very nicely, giving it some very nice variation of color as well. Really smooth transitions and everything throughout. And of course, the fact that the head kind of moves and, articulates a little bit is just kind of like the icing on the cake for this one. But overall, it is awesome. And if you are interested in grabbing one, I will, of course, include a link in the description to where you can do that on the Etsy shop of Creature Preacher. And obviously, I would recommend grabbing this and the dragon so you can complete the diorama. But one way or another, if you are interested, check the link in the description, go grab this, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.